Milwaukee Flare Nut Wrenches. Are they worth your hard-earned money? Let's find out. These are the Milwaukee double-end flare nut wrenches. It's the model number 48-22-9470 for the SAE and -9471 for the metric. In the metric sizes, you'll get a 6-piece kit. In the SAE, you'll get a 5-piece kit. We'll tell you why in just a moment. So let's take a look at all the tremendous features, the brushless motors and all that stuff. And then we'll actually use this. No, actually we'll dive in and give some decent details and some information that you may or may not know. And then we'll come back and talk about pricing, although we'll probably already talk about that, and warranty, and wrap things up. These are the new flare nut wrenches from Milwaukee, specifically the double-ended flare nut wrenches. So you get a 6-piece kit in the metric, and we get a 5-piece kit in the SAE, but really you get 10 sizes on the 5-piece and 12 sizes on the metric. Now on the metric side, basically everything between 9 and 21 millimeter, with the exception of we're skipping 20. Everything else is covered. I believe even 18, yeah, 18's covered. So the only skip size in the metric from 9 to 21 is the 20 millimeter. And on the SAE side, everything from 1/4 inch to 7/8, and I think we're skipping the 13/16. So yeah, we have 11/16 and 3/4, no 13/16, but we do have the 7/8, maybe 9/32 or something, but I don't even know if that's needed in a flare nut wrench. Every other size is covered for sure. These are lifetime warranted, and as far as pricing on this, I think the 5-piece goes for $59.99. And the 6-piece goes for $69.99. And as I mentioned, they get a 5 lifetime warranty. No, a lifetime guarantee on these. And let's go ahead and get rid of this. I do think it's pretty nice, like Milwaukee does on their regular wrenches as well, where they put the offsets where you can butt these against one another, put them in a drawer, and you still get a nice rectangle. It's not taking up odd spaces. So great idea. And then also easily labeled red SAE, black is metric, in both the actual plastic case they sit in as well as the ink-filled sizes. Make it very easy to see these sizes with those numbers, and the likelihood of those actually scratching off when they have the indentation like that is pretty slim. Now you may be asking, well, Tim, what in the world can you tell us about a flare nut wrench that's going to take minutes, other than saying, here's a flare nut wrench? Well, maybe I can enlighten you here for a minute. So lend me your ear here for a moment, and let's go down the path of maybe learning something here. Can you see my sizes are off? What have I done here? There we go. We all the same way? My OCD was kicking in there for a second. Yeah, so we're good now. That side too? Yeah, all my sides are right side up. Okay, good. Up, my OCD just kicked in. I do notice something. It looks like, okay, I guess we could do that either way. You'll see on these wrenches, just like their regular wrenches, on one side you get the laser etching of the Milwaukee logo, and on the other side is more of a block lettering in a embossed or debossed with the raised lettering, if you will, on one side and the laser etching on the other. Now, we'll tell you out of the gate, the thing that sets apart flare nut wrenches is the fact of, do they work or not? I know that's a dumb comment, but not really. If you've picked up a flare nut wrench before and gone to remove a brake line and it fell on you and you round the nut over, man, does that cause for a long day, because now not only are you grabbing the vice grips to get the brake line off or the whatever nut you're trying to get off, but then you're having to repair that. You're having to cut that out, redo some flares, put in a coupler, just tons of stuff you don't want to be doing. So first thing is, are the wrenches going to hold up? And we'll test that in a moment. Second thing is, are they within spec? Now let's look at something here. Here is a hardened grade 8 USA made nut, and this is a 1/2 inch nut. And so across the flats, the specs call for anywhere from 489 thousandths to 500 thousandths. And so we'll take a look here. So 492, we'll measure a couple of these, 493, 493, 492. So it looks like this nut is dead in the middle. Well, I shouldn't say dead in the middle. Looks like we're 4 thousandths off from the bottom of the spec and 7 thousandths off from the top of the spec, but we're still in the middle of the spec. We're not at any way outside of spec for a hardened bolt. Now that we know that, well, we know that anything over 500 thousandths is where we need to be with the 1/2 inch. And let me measure here. So it looks like 506 thousandths. Let me measure that again. Yeah, it looks like 506 is the widest point of that wrench. So it looks like we have about 6 thousandths clearance on the top of the spec, which is not much. That should be pretty well. But let me talk about something while we're here. Okay, many times you see a 1/2 inch nut and you think, oh, I can grab my 13 millimeter or I can grab my 1/2 inch. And that works out absolutely fine when you're grabbing a socket, when you're grabbing a regular wrench and just taking off a nut. Typically that's going to be absolutely fine. When you're going to a flare nut, and again, your life's depending on this wrench holding up even with that opening right there. Let me show you the difference. So we're nowhere at 506 on the 1/2 inch. Let's say we just grab the 13 and say this will be good enough. So 506 on the 1/2 inch, 515 thousandths on the 13 millimeter. So we're looking at 10 thousandths different, 9 thousandths, 10 thousandths difference. That's a huge amount when you're looking at, again, it being able to save your tail or not of getting off that fastener. So make sure you know when you're dealing with brake lines and any type of flare nut situation that you're grabbing either the SAE or the metric that is fit for that size and not trying to use a crossover for that. Now let's go over and use these on a vehicle and break a couple of brake lines loose, and then we'll come over here and test some torquing. Okay, we know these lines have been on here for decades, if not longer, and 9/16. Actually, that looks like that's been replaced not too long, but it's still probably several years. 9/16, yep, 9/16 on both of these. Yep, 9/16 on both. Yeah, no problem breaking that one free. And let's see if we can get this one. There we go. Yep. No problem there. And a 69 C10 truck should be the same size. Yep. 9/16. Yep. No problem there. 9/16 there too. Yep. Looks like these are probably 7/16. Yep. Yeah, break. No problem there. Yep. Got that one too. I think that one's been on there a while. All right, so we've got our torque calculator or our torque reader set up here in our vise, and we have a hex key adapter for a 1/2 inch that is 1/2 inch hex, and that's going to fit excellent for our 1/2 inch flare nut wrench. Now, just to give you an idea, max torque on a hardened grade 8 nut or bolt is like 25 foot-pounds. I think 27 if it's non-plated. But anyway, just 25 foot-pounds. So I would say that would probably be about the max that you would want to apply to a wrench as well, because obviously you're going to break or strip or fastener before that gives. Now, when you're breaking something free, I know sometimes you have to apply more torque. But my point is, let's take this to at least 25 foot-pounds, and I think that's a fair test. So we should be able to read that right there. So easily going to 41.5 foot-pounds with no slippage whatsoever. So almost 50 foot-pounds on that 1/2 inch. Now let's bump this up a bit, and we'll take this to a 19. Now we've got our 19 millimeter. Looks like our vise is slipping. Hammer. And here we go. So 65 foot-pounds. Let's get a helper. Use a little helper right here. And see if we can't get it past 65. So 82 foot-pounds. If our vise was holding, I'm sure we could get it past that without any slippage. There we go. 100 foot-pounds on that flare nut wrench with no slippage. So do they do all the things that a double-ended flare nut wrench should do? Yeah, I think so, and I think they do it very well. Very little flex that we noticed at all, so it held up to all our testing. Also, love the sizes on these wrenches. Really and truly, you can see these very easily, and it's not going to get scratched off like a laser etching or like just paint on the top is going to do with that embossing and the ink filled down in there. Again, the chances of that happening is going to be years and years of abuse. So check them out. Again, $59.99 for the 5-piece kit and $69.99 for the 6-piece kit. Lifetime warranty on these. Check them out for yourselves. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, well, give us that thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day. Keep smiling.